The Broncos played their most complete game of the season, 8 games in, but boy, did it show. We're going deep.
Hey.
Are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're live now. You and I talked about the whole get right thing going into the Bengals game for the Broncos offense. They got right. And then they got wrong for a couple of games after that, unless we're talking about the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Was this a get right game for the offense?
Yeah, but they've been getting right in periods. I mean, it was a get right quarter last game in the fourth quarter against the Giants.
1 of 4.
Right. What we want to stop doing is doing this, right?
We saw a complete game from all 3 phases.
Yeah.
Penalties were down, specifically on offense that was killing drives. The Broncos defense was nothing short of spectacular, especially when you include Pat Surtain wasn't even on the field in the second half. And then it seems like once a game, special teams has a whoopsie, and we didn't see that either.
No, we saw a nice return by Marvin Mims, and it was good to see him do that because he's a 2-time or back-to-back Pro Bowler, all-pro returner, and he's not super involved in the offense. So a guy like him, as dynamic as him, you want to get him the ball in his hands, and that's a great way to do it. But the buildup and the hype around the Cowboys offense going into this game, I think really played into the defense's hands there. They were able to kind of stay quiet all week long. You remember the previous week, it was a war of words with the Giants, right? And they probably thought to themselves, maybe that didn't really serve us. You know, yeah, we won the game and we had a crazy comeback. Maybe that kind of took us off our game a little bit. Let's kind of step back a little bit and let the national media fluff the Cowboys offense and talk about how amazing they are. And that's all anyone talked about. It was this incredible Cowboys offense coming into Empower Field. Could the Broncos handle them? Well, yeah, they absolutely did handle them. And oh, by the way, the Broncos offense looked like the dominant offense out there yesterday. So all-around team win, like you said.
When you played, you had 16 games, and you want to prepare as hard as you can for every single game. But is it fair to say that some games, for lack of a better phrase, are a little bit more important than others, like division games, or you're playing the defending champs? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you look at the Broncos defense against the Colts, I don't think they expected what they got specifically from Daniel Jones. When they played the Giants, they were expecting a couple of rookies they felt that they could shut down. That didn't work particularly well either. But when you play the Dallas Cowboys, whether they are winless or unbeaten, is there a different level of we want to beat America's team? Because I look at this defense against the Colts and Giants, which wasn't particularly good, and they saw and heard what everybody was saying about this Cowboys offense. And to your point, they stayed quiet, and they played this game, in my opinion, like it was a playoff game.
Well, that's what the good teams do. And so you learn from the Colts games. You learn from the games you didn't play well. You want to prepare the same for every opponent. You want to play every game like it's a playoff game.
But isn't there a little bit of difference at times?
There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. With the best teams, there shouldn't be. You want to practice every day like it's a game.
Right.
And that's what they did this week. You're right, though. It looked different, right? It looked different. And so this young team, I know we talk about whether it's a young team, but it is in some ways inexperienced, maybe not young on paper, but it's got a quarterback who's coming into his own, young players contributing on offense, young players in key roles. And you got to prepare every week the same, but the Cowboys are a little different. You're at that game, you see about half of the fans there dressed in cowboy shit.
Right.
And you're like, how does this happen? Well, they're a very popular team. Let's shut them up. I mean, in the first quarter, that Bo Nix pick, Cowboys fans going crazy. I mean, it was almost as loud as the Broncos fans until the Broncos put their foot on the Cowboys' throat, and then the Cowboys fans just kind of got sad, and they started, moping a little bit. And that felt really good to have a complete game where you just crush your opponent from basically the start to the finish, and it was never really in doubt.
But we've been looking for that all year.
Yeah.
And we really didn't see it in the opening 7 games where they dominated. And it's okay. It's the beginning of the season. You can't expect them to dominate weeks 1, 2, or 3. But
someday you will expect that. And that's what
what happened in this one.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, like, someday, I think, as Sean Payton's tenure here kind of moves along years 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll come to expect dominance in week 1, where you're off to a 4-0 start. And when the Shanahan era was that way. We always came out of the gate hot. Right. We might have lost the first game, but we went on a streak. We were always 4-1 or 3-1 after 4 games, or 4-0. And so when you do that, you set yourself up really well going into the second half of the season. Now, Sean Payton has been able to last year make the playoffs in spite of a slow start. This year, a slow start, 1-2, and now they've won 5 straight. So I think they're rounding into form when it comes to coming out of the gate hot. At least I hope. I mean, they did it yesterday. Bad defense. We talked about that. Historically bad, maybe.
Well, they are. And we'll get into that in just a minute. I want to let you know this show is brought to you by Landmark Lincoln and the brand new Lincoln Navigator. Go check out this unbelievable ride. Take it for a test drive today. Luxury inside and out. Power that you would expect from a Lincoln. It's really a great drive. Go check it out for yourself. You can find Landmark Lincoln. They're located off of Broadway in Inglewood. I do want to address what is, in theory, the elephant in the room. The Broncos offense dominated from start to finish outside of that opening drive. They probably could have put up even more points than 44. With that, do you look at this as, wow, the offense really took a big step in the right direction? Or is it unfair to say, well, let's look at the defense that they were playing that we knew was garbage before the game even started?
I think you take it into consideration, but you feel good about the execution. You feel good about the things you did well. I mean, like, for example, Bo cleaning up some of his mechanics. Clearly he's watching the walkthrough that me and Jake are doing because he's learning about holding defenders with his head.
You really think he's watching?
Well, I mean,
has he told you that?
He hasn't. But
do you believe that he would?
He's got guys in the building who are giving him the same advice. I mean, but he is a young quarterback, and he's rounding into form, and he's starting to be able to compartmentalize the many things that are asked of a quarterback during the course of a game. And if the game plan is a little bit like, you're studying the night before, you're not quite sure of it, well, then the little mechanical stuff, the stuff that allows you to freeze and hold defenders and manipulate their movement with your eyes, can slip through the cracks because you're thinking about where guys are supposed to be and your job on offense. And so I think he's just becoming a more mature quarterback, right? And so he's doing things that, independent of the Cowboys shittiness, reflect his improvement.
Yeah.
The offensive line looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
RJ Harvey looked really good. And also Sean Payton calling plays in a way that seemed to benefit the flow of the game more, running the ball more, committing to the run.
Want to know how I know the offensive line played better?
Yeah.
Who started at both guard positions?
At both guard positions?
Yeah.
Quinn Miners?
Miners?
I don't know.
That's my point. The fact that you can't remember who played the other guard position tells you didn't hear his name being spit out of the ref's mouth every time a flag was thrown.
Yeah. Cleaned up a lot of the flags. I think they had 7 penalties. Not great, but not horrible.
2 were on the offense.
Right. And so not as many personnel changes, which mattered a lot. Leave J.K. Dobbins on the field after a nice first down run. And also adjusting the personnel to suit the play better. What I mean by that is, last week we got on him for the bubble screens and a lot of these behind the line of scrimmage passes not working.
A lot of those?
A couple.
Not a lot.
No, but the point I was about to make is the people they're asking to block for those guys out on the perimeter.
Right.
Are guys who can make that block a little more effectively. Guys like Cortland Sutton, motioning Nate Atkins out wide to take care of that instead of having Troy Flanken, Marvin Mims, and some smaller bodies out there blocking those guys, because one block is missed and the play gets blown up in the backfield. So thinking about who you're asking to do certain roles, running the ball more, which opens up the play action more. Bo clearly seems more comfortable when the running game is cooking. Right. And then not as many personnel groups so guys can stay in and eat because they just want to eat. They're hungry. Feed me.
Asking you this question is kind of like saying, pick your favorite child.
Oh, God, don't do that.
What was more impressive, the Broncos offense or the Broncos defense?
Yesterday?
Mm-hmm. It's not, you can argue it either way.
Yeah.
And your reaction said it all.
Well, it's hard because they both showed up.
That's my point.
There's total team effort, and the special teams look great as well. So what that tells me is the week of practice was excellent on both sides of the ball. Now, something that I talked about on Friday, I was on KOA with Ryan Edwards, and we listened to some of these guys in the locker room talk about how Wednesday had to look more like Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like, what does that mean exactly? You know, and I'm thinking about it because a lot of times an offensive coach like Sean Payton is very particular about the way he wants things to look at practice, right? And so what ends up happening is he's so tightly wound about how he wants it to look that he makes sure that the defense is running scout team doesn't fuck this up for us. So the defense who's running scout team plays a little tight at practice because they want to make sure they don't get yelled at by the offensive coach for fucking up the look. Now, the best look you can give an offense or on scout is to make it look like a game. I got to be badass on the scout team so you get prepared to go play a game. If I'm playing tight because I don't want to make that coach mad, then we all kind of play tight and nothing really gets accomplished as far as energy, flow, edge that we're trying to have on Sunday. You're doing everything. You're trying to do it too cerebrally. Cut it loose and let's practice with an edge. And the way you do that is by having the scout team come to play and want to fucking stick it to the starters on the other side to prove that they belong. When you start to get that competition at practice and all guys like going at it a little bit, then that translates to the game and you see what you saw.
I don't know if you ever did this when you played with Jake, but actually Jake and I, we were talking about this because your show just wrapped up.
That's right.
I said to him, did your offense ever meet together as a group to watch film? And I believe he said you guys did not. You did in position groups. Following the Giants game.
We did sometimes.
It was Bo's idea. Following the Giants game, we need to start watching tape together as a group. We will still do it by position group, but let's do it together as a group. How much of what we saw yesterday had to do with all the guys collaborating together? How much had to do with Dallas's defense not being very good? But we've already talked about the Dallas defense not being very good. How much can that help the offense moving forward when everybody on offense is in the same room and they all have to be accountable to each other, not just in their position group room?
It's huge because it also gives you a more rounded perspective of the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish. You can get so siloed in these position groups that you're only thinking about, okay, what is the receiver's assignment here? What am I doing? I'm supposed to block the corner, and I did. And so the play didn't work, and that's fine. Like, I blocked my guy. But when you watch it with a whole team, there's 11 guys out there and they all have jobs, but they're all connected with one another. And there's a whole holistic approach to why it works or why it doesn't. And so when you listen to an offensive lineman talking about their assignment, or you listen to the tight ends, or you hear a running back coach coaching up his running backs about what they're doing, and you start to understand, oh, okay, that's what we're trying to do. That's why I'm doing this over here. That's why it's so important that I do what I'm being taught. And then you become more intelligent football players. And in the moment of truth, in the fourth quarter, or when the chips are down, you make the right play, whereas your opponent, who might not have that holistic knowledge of the play, makes the wrong one. And so you're creating more intelligent football players.
I don't think that Bo Nix's performance against the Cowboys dramatically moved the needle for anyone. But in the previous 3 games, 10 quarters were not good. 2 quarters, fourth quarter, were outstanding.
10 bad quarters?
10 bad quarters, yeah. Well, against the Jets, against the Eagles, and then against the Giants. Quarters 1 through 3, and in the Jets game, it was the entire game. The offense was shit. I mean, let's just call it like it is. But with this complete game performance from Nix, has the needle moved for you at all on him? Certainly not down, but has it moved up a tick?
Absolutely. I think you saw him improve in a lot of areas yesterday. His eyes, managing the defense with his eyes, keeping guys in place and then moving at the last minute and throwing the ball from different angles. I mean, yeah, guys were running free. I mean, Troy Franklin was so wide open in some of these plays. You're not going to be that against some of these stronger.
You got a nickname for him? For Troy Franklin, if you could come up with a nickname for him, what would it be?
Me? I think you got it.
I do have it.
Okay, so don't ask me when you're the one with the answer.
I was trying to give you credit for it.
No, I don't.
But instead,
I'm going to let you take it.
So if Troy Franklin continues to play like this, his nickname should be 7-Eleven. And that's not a double entendre. That's a triple entendre. 7-Eleven is always open. Franklin is always open. Whether he catches the ball or not, so far, he hasn't been as consistent as we like. But he's always open. He scored 2 touchdowns. That's 7. And he wears number 11. he could be 7-Eleven, and we could do bumper stickers, and we can do shirts, and we can do hats. And I talked to somebody in the Broncos PR department today, and I said, what we're going to do is not only we are going to make this, some sort of bumper sticker, hat, or shirt, but we're going to use the Broncos logo.
Oh, and they said they were cool with that.
No, they're not cool with it. But I said,
not.
we're going to use it until you give us a cease and desist order.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good idea. But
how many can we sell before the cease and desist order comes through?
Not a lot.
Or as that
many.
person said to me, he said 7-Eleven will probably come after you first.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have 2 cease and desists. But does that mean he has to kick the extra point to make it accurate? Because a touchdown is 6 points. Is there a 6-11 store that's on?
Do you have to be so technically
literal
accurate? It's like my exact words. A touchdown is considered 7.
No, it's 6.
I know.
Is it called a pick 7 or is it called a pick 6?
We can sit and go back and forth about this all day, you fucking child.
Come on, man. Not as big of a child as George Pickens with his 2 mouthpieces and his peekaboos and celebrating down 20 because he had a nice catch.
Well, speaking of that, let's flip this around to the Broncos defense.
Yeah.
There was no way, for as good as the Broncos defense has been all year, if I had to pick if you had to pick one thing about the Cowboys offense that stunned you more so than anything else against this Broncos defense, what would it have been?
Because Dak looking very uncomfortable back there. I mean, all week, again, I'm going to talk like the Cowboys offense, just unprecedentedly awesome.
Well, it is.
No, they're not. I mean, they did
this season. They have been.
6 games they had good. 1 game wasn't great, but they put up some pretty good numbers. But they put up
the best numbers in the league.
Yeah,
that's the best.
And a lot of it is because your offense or because your defense sucks so bad, you're just slinging the ball around, and everybody's allowing you to just move. I mean, there is a give and take involved in it.
Is Dak Prescott having an MVP type season?
Not anymore, motherfucker.
Well, he was going into the game.
You think he's going to win the MVP?
I didn't say that he was going to. I said he's
you insinuated that he's on the pace, and what I'm saying is you face a real defense like the Broncos, all of a sudden puts things into perspective.
Come on, he's having an MVP type season. Jake Ferguson came into the game having the best start for any tight end in the history of the league.
Yeah, he looked like fake Ferguson in that game, right?
That to me was the most shocking number, that he didn't have a catch. He was targeted 1 time.
Yeah.
The Broncos did a brilliant job, specifically Vance Joseph, of bracketing him. And then the 1 time they threw to Ferguson, Jahdae Barron picked it off.
Yeah.
That to me was stunning for a team that has had so many issues over the last however many years covering tight ends. They should take whatever they did with Jake Ferguson and use against Bowers moving forward and Kelsey moving forward and everyone, because that was textbook shutting down a guy that through 6 or 7 games had 50+ catches and 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Pickens did what he did, 7 catches, something like that, under 80 yards. Lamb, 7 catches under 80 yards. That is containing those guys.
Yeah.
That's containing them. But for Ferguson to be shut out on the box score was head rolling, eye scratching to me.
And Vance Joseph continues to.
Actually, it's the other way around. It's head scratching and eye rolling.
Eyes. Wow.
Yes.
That might hurt, man.
It would.
You roll your head and you scratch your eyes.
I know.
Man. That's how impressed you were by their shutting down of Jake Ferguson. If you need me to call a doctor after that happens, let me know what I get.
I don't, because I have all of Jake Plummer's supplements to help me through.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Those are good for eye scratching incidents.
Cornea incidents.
No, I think Vance Joseph, once again, let's give this guy his flowers.
Yeah.
He continues to show up week after week, take that challenge, deliver the correct messaging because, look, man, they didn't play a great game against the Giants and Jackson Dart in them. They had a good 4th quarter, but prior to that, gave up a lot of points to a rookie quarterback and had to hear all week about exactly what you're saying. MVP, Dak, and these guys have so many weapons, and they were quietly fixing to go whoop their ass.
Yeah.
And they took that as a challenge. Oh, the number 1 offense is coming in, and everyone says that our offense has to put up 30 if we have a chance to win in this game. We got something to show them. And they came ready to shut down this Cowboys offense, and they did. They shut down this Cowboys offense top to bottom, even after, Pat Surtain going out. This defense is playing at a very high level. And when you see the kind of the balance there and the offense comes to play, you have that kind of blowout potential every single game.
Trade deadline is coming up. There have been some whispers and some rumors that the Broncos might take a look at a wide receiver. I don't think that they will, because I don't think they want to give up the draft capital. I think they like their young guys. But there is no solid number 2 consistently behind Sutton right now. So with what we saw with Franklin and Pat Bryant starting to get worked into the offense more, not only as a receiver, but as a blocker, dare I say to my good friend Nate Jackson, he is looking like Devon Vele on steroids. With that, do you think the Broncos should consider if a really good, solid, consistent number 2 who has been that way for the majority of his career, or maybe even was a number 1, but maybe on the backside of his career, should they consider bringing in somebody like that? You're going to have to give up a 3rd, 4th, 5th round draft pick. Or do you run with the young guys that you have as you're sitting at 6-2 on top of the division and your eyes are pointed towards not only the playoffs, but making a deep run? And we have seen the inconsistency with this offense that maybe they need that one final piece. That's what Mike Shanahan always chased. He always thought, if we just get this one more piece, we'll bring in Javon Walker. That didn't work out very well.
He was a pretty good player here. And that was after Rod had retired.
I understand that.
Okay,
we'll bring in Simeon Rice. That didn't work out either.
Okay.
Mike always felt and this isn't about Mike Shanahan. Mike always built a really good roster, but he always felt he was one player away.
Yeah.
And even if that guy might have been a little troubled off the field, had some issues, Mike would still bring him in because you had the locker room to absorb that.
Well, yeah, that's a real thing. And so when you have a very strong culture, you can take on a turd burglar and turn him into a model citizen. I'm not saying that they should do that here, and I don't think they should. But to answer your question, okay, I
do have a follow-up to this. Even though I talked, I didn't even allow you to follow up to begin with.
Yeah,
I'll give you a guy using your words as a turd bird, but the guy's an absolute
burglar. A turd burglar.
Turd burglar.
Yeah.
I'm used to hamburglar. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So trade deadline is coming up next Tuesday. A.J. Brown is always unhappy, but he's incredibly talented, and this locker room is tight. Could they absorb his personality being unhappy, knowing what his upside could be for Bo Nix paired next to Courtland Sutton?
Very talented guy, but this is a chemistry set here. You put that in, Broncos are 6-2. They're in first place. Why fuck with that? I'd say no. I don't think they need to trade for any wide receivers. They got young wide receivers who are hungry. Did you see that game? I know it was the Cowboys and they weren't playing well.
Missed it completely.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys looked game and ready for whatever snaps, whatever balls you're going to throw to them. Not only that, but willing blockers. You mentioned Pat Bryant, the blocker. He blocked the defensive end on the RJ Harvey 40-yard touchdown. Right. And when you do that, yeah, you're going to get the ball thrown to you as well. And he had a really nice touchdown in the left corner of the end zone. Really great body control. No, I would not. And I hear that, on local radio and things like that. We need more playmakers. You got fucking playmakers on the team. You just have to unlock them. They've been making plays their whole life. There's a reason why they're on this football field, because they're playmakers.
Yeah, but they're young and they're inconsistent.
Okay, well, so this team is building towards something. Bo is young. He's inconsistent. Let's bring all these guys in together. Courtland Sutton is the elder statesman in the room. Marvin Mims is a fantastic playmaker. You got to figure out how to get him involved in the offense. And then you got Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, and Evan Ingram. I think you got plenty of weapons and 2 running backs. That's plenty of weapons. You can't throw the ball to everyone. You can't. And so the idea that if you bring in some solid number 2 veteran guy in the middle of the season who you think is going to help you make a playoff push, you got to learn the system. You got to find the way in the rotation. What do you do with those other guys?
It's not a playoff push. It is going further in the playoffs.
A playoff push.
I mean, yes, you would love to have a, Lamb Pickens combo. You would love to have a Chase and T. Higgins combo. The Broncos.
By the way, 2 shitty teams there you just mentioned. Lamb Pickens, crappy team. T. Higgins.
The Cowboys are a crappy team.
They're 3-4. They're not gonna do anything this year.
I would call them the Bengals without Burrow are a crappy team, although they have played pretty well with Flacco.
Well, they lost to the Jets yesterday.
Well, then you just basically told me the importance of wide receivers.
What do you mean?
Well, I just gave you two great duos, and you said they're on crappy teams. So I guess now this is your pointed question, Nate. Just how important are wide receivers if you have two great duos that can't win fucking games? How important are wide receivers?
How many times do you want to ask
or
the
is it
same
about
question?
the quarterback?
How many times do you want to ask the
Here
same
we go
question?
again. Here we go again.
A wide receiver,
Yeah.
if he catches 10 passes in a game,
Yeah.
that's a very good game, right?
Yes.
What about the other 50 plays? Is he blocking? Because T. Higgins ain't, I'm not saying he's not blocking,
Right.
but Jamar Chase, is he getting dirty?
Nope.
Is George Pickens putting in the extra effort to go
Nope.
lay a hat on the safety? No, and that's why they suck. The stats that you make as a receiver are not going to always help you win games. They will in certain instances,
Great
but you
point.
have to go bust your ass away from the ball
Right.
for your guys to eat. And that's what this team is about, selflessness at that position. So if you want to replace Pat Bryant with another guy, is he going to block like Pat did? Is he going to spring RJ Harvey for a 40-yard touchdown? I don't freaking think so. That's why you don't make a trade right now. You keep this room intact and you allow them to flourish and platform them when they bust their ass in the running game.
Once again, this show is brought to you by Landmark Lincoln and the brand new Lincoln Navigator. It's got everything that you want in a ride. It has power, it has luxury, it has style. This is not your granddad's Lincoln. Just look at the interior and the exterior of that car. It's a fun car to drive. Go for a test drive today. Landmark Lincoln, you can find them off of Broadway and Englewood. 3 Broncos rookies made significant impacts.
Yeah.
Pat Bryant got his first career touchdown, another terrific block. RJ Harvey, 3 touchdowns in the game. Jahdae Barron got a pick.
Yeah.
We hope all 3 of these guys are going to be fantastic. In 3 years, who's the best of those 3?
3 years.
3 years from now, because you got to give guys time to develop.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be RJ Harvey. Just kind of because of the career sort of trajectory of a running back.
Yeah.
Their year 2, 3, 4 is their sweet spot.
Yeah.
Really. And then they use them up and then they send them out to the glue factory because the average career of a running back is like less than 3 years.
Right.
Because it's so violent and they're putting their body in such a difficult position. But RJ Harvey's versatility is going to make him a very potent weapon on this team for years to come, I hope. And J.K. Dobbins also still kind of a young back. I mean, and he's talked yesterday. I know this wasn't about J.K. Dobbins, but he talked about how maybe I was meant to be a Bronco. Like maybe this is where I belonged all along.
He feels at home.
Yeah, and so that two-headed monster is incredible, and that will allow RJ Harvey to thrive and flourish, I think, for longer than if he was the lead back right away, you know. But Pat Bryant is tickling my brain also when you ask that question because of his willingness to do all the things that are needed. By the way, he's playing special teams too. He's on kickoff.
That's why, even though I loved me some Devon Vele, I had said to you, well, I did.
Oh,
I always liked Devon. First of all, his story.
Oh, no, it's Tim Patrick who you didn't like.
No, I like Tim Patrick a lot too.
Just another guy.
Tim Patrick is, well, he's a great blocker too.
Oh.
And Devon Vale is a terrific blocker.
Right.
They're not going to put up big numbers for you. That's not who they are.
Right.
Sorry, they're not.
No, I know.
But when they traded Devon Vale, I remember saying to you months ago, they have Pat Bryant, and eventually he will grow into that role. And now we're seeing that. So now I'll narrow it down to 2 young wide receivers. Cortland Sutton's not going to play forever. Who do you think will be the number 1 wide receiver 3 years from now? Will it be Bryant, Franklin, or he's not on the roster?
I think it's more likely to be Bryant than Troy.
Me too.
Franklin, both fantastic talents.
Yep.
I do think that true number one guy might not be on the roster, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
I mean, you need a complement of wide receivers, and most good teams do. It's not about one guy catching 150 passes. Now, Sean Payton did do that in New Orleans with Michael Thomas. He had 149 catches, but that's not the way this team is, and that's not the way a winning team has to be. You know, Cortland Sutton, I think, has the more traditional body for a number 1 guy, like a bigger, more physical guy. I feel like Troy Franklin is a little too slight to be your number 1 guy. And maybe Pat Bryant doesn't have.
You know what he's like a little bit? It's like one of your former teammates, and I've talked about him, and you kind of rolled your eyes at me when I brought him up. I think he is a more talented version of Ashley Lilly. Ashley Lilly it felt like every game he would catch a big play downfield.
Yeah.
He'd also drop a ball somewhere downfield. And that's what Troy Franklin has been for the most part during his career. But I don't remember too many games where Ashley Lee had a game like Franklin had on Sunday.
Yeah, I can see that comp. I mean, body style, speed.
Yep.
You can't coach that kind of speed. Those guys can take the top off.
Right.
But Ashley had Rod on the other side, right?
Yep.
And so a different type of receiver who can run every route in the tree and can get open no matter what kind of coverage you put on him. That's what I see a number one guy being.
Yeah.
The chips are down. It's 3rd and 6. You call a slant. It's really good coverage. He comes up with a catch anyway. And that's why I think Pat Bryant is more along those lines than Troy Franklin, because his hands are stronger.
Yeah.
His body control and awareness with the ball, the hand-eye coordination, the ball skills are a little better with Pat than with Troy. Both fantastic players and both have a role on this team going forward. But the fact that we're talking about these young guys in this way, to me, means you don't have to trade for a wide receiver. You have these guys that you really like, and they're blossoming, and they're connecting with Bo. You remember Bo and Troy have been playing together longer than the last 2 years here.
Right.
They have that familiarity, and you can see that out on the field now coming together. So I think this Broncos offense is full of playmakers. You just have to find a way to unleash them. And yesterday you saw them do that.
Broncos are 6-2. They lead the AFC West. I don't know if you gamble on sports at all, but you certainly could probably have an opinion about it. Straight up money, dollar to dollar. Are you betting on the Broncos to win the AFC West right now?
Well, yeah, I would. I mean, they got a nice lead.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing good football. The Chiefs are a little scary, right? A little scary.
Yep.
Plus, Taylor Swift just came out with a new album, which is,
right,
should frighten you a little bit, because, the NFL wants to platform her and sell more copies for her. And so they're going to, grease the skids for that to happen.
And watch me step in it with the Denver crowd, but I'm saying this intentionally because I believe it. And they have the greatest quarterback who's ever played the game in Patrick Mahomes.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Greatest to ever play the game.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Well, guy goes to the AFC Championship game every year, goes to the Super Bowl all the time, has put up historic numbers. Other than that, I don't know
takes
why.
over for a playoff team, a perennial 10-win team. Didn't take over a bad team, took over a good team. Yeah, he's good. I'm not taking any shine away from Patrick Mahomes, but the greatest of all time?
All time.
That is so hyperbolic, and I know you're saying
no. I'm not saying
you really believe that.
I'm not saying it hyperbolically. I'm saying it because he does things. If you look at the 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time, let's call it 4. I don't want to leave John Elway out. Manning, Brady, Montana, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He does things that Manning and Brady could never do. And that is arm slots. That is running with the ball, making plays. He makes plays with his feet that those 2 guys could never make. Okay. Joe Montana could make plays with his feet. And as I was told by his Kansas City teammates when I covered the team, catching the ball from him was like somebody throwing a pillow.
Yeah.
And it was an easy ball to catch.
Yeah.
When you look at what he has done in the short amount of time he has done in his career, no one has done this.
Joe Montana's 4 for 4 in Super Bowls, never threw an interception in a Super Bowl, took over for a last place team and turned it into a Super Bowl team. Joe Montana was a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has lost 2 Super Bowls. What are you talking about? He's the best ever.
Okay.
Just because.
By the way, none of this is clippable.
Recent,
none of this is clippable because I don't think Denver fans give a shit what I think about, Patrick Mahomes.
John Elway was better than Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Come on, man.
No.
He took over a bad team and led him to the promised land.
No.
Patrick Mahomes had Andy Reid, who already had a winning team. He just jumped in the fucking cockpit and pressed go, man.
We can go on and on about this all day. Even money, would you bet the Broncos to win the Super Bowl right now?
Would I bet him to win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah. Because who's better?
No, and we had this conversation, but I'm talking about when you look at them as a team, with what we saw against the Cowboys, it finally makes Broncos country believe this is what we're capable of. And I think for the guys in the locker room, they look at it as this is what we're capable of.
Yeah.
The question is it only going to be one game, or is this where they start to build momentum and they're going to run into a buzzsaw on Sunday in Houston that does statistically have the best defense in the league.
Kind of like the Broncos, we're going to run into a buzzsaw with a statistical #1 offense. Again, a rallying point. Oh, we're really scared. I'm not saying we
I'll
don't
tell you
respect
right
them.
now,
Hold on. I'm not saying we don't respect the Houston Texans and their #1 defense. We do, but we're going to stay quiet this week and quietly prepare to go put up 40 in Houston.
Well, they're not the Broncos. The guys in that locker room are not a bunch of shit talkers.
Well, they did 2 weeks ago against the Giants and got a little.
No, it was one guy. It was Jonathan
I'm just saying
Cooper.
it was a little bit too much noise for them, right?
Yep.
And they played 3 bad quarters, and so like I imagine they went, let's not do that again, because I think it took us out of our rhythm a little bit. Let's stay quiet, humble, go to work, and prepare to go whoop some ass. I think that's what they're going to do going forward. And I really, really love what Sean Payton did this last week to prepare these guys for this game, because he talked to the presser after the game about teams that have those emotional wins.
Yeah,
they let down the next week.
Right.
And he was really cognizant of not letting that happen. So much so that he got his video guy to prepare a video montage of all the teams that have had crazy improbable comebacks.
Yes.
Followed by them losing the next week. And he played that for them. And he prepared them to not let that happen. And they showed up. And that just tells me that he's got a really good finger on the pulse of how to prepare these guys to go play any opponent.
I was just told that same exact story by somebody inside the Broncos organization today, where Peyton treated that Giants win almost like a loss after showing improbable comebacks and obviously what happens the next week. But his attitude towards the team is really what we saw, and you criticized him for, and you're right to, because that's your opinion, that when Peyton stood up there following the Giants game, he talked about it as if his team lost. But he followed that up with talking to his players saying, we had a miraculous comeback that happens every time cicadas come, and probably even less than that. What I was told was he approached his players in so many words and said, we got lucky. This doesn't happen. Don't treat it like there's some great big win. We won the game and that's great, but don't get all full of yourselves because we won a game like this. You won, we won together, but don't look at it as, oh, we won this big game. We should have lost the game. And I think that helped them focus.
Whatever he did helped them.
Yep.
And that messenger that Sean Payton is, and the experience that he has.
Right.
Any scenario he's encountered it. He's had crazy wins. He's had crazy losses.
Right.
He's had short weeks. He's had long weeks. He's had all that stuff. And so he knows what to say, when to say it. If you're up here, I'm going to bring you down a little bit.
Right.
If you're down here, I'm going to bring you up, because we want to be even keel and handle this like businessmen when we go out there to kick some ass, hang 44 on them, and go back home and take a freaking nap and eat a freaking sandwich.
One more thing before we run. I want to get back to the offense on how Sean Payton designed his offense. There weren't as many personnel packages. That was your observation.
Yeah.
My observation as well. Do you think they didn't have as many personnel changes because of the opponent, or do you think this is something we will see moving forward?
I think it's something we'll see moving forward. I think it's something that when you go back and look at what's working and what's not, you tighten it up and you come up with something that may be more effective. And I think that's what they've done. It allows J.K. Dobbins and the running back to stay on the field and get into a lather and keep eating. It allows you to work the play clock a little better, get to the line of scrimmage with a little bit more time, be able to see the defense and not let the defense substitute, right? And then just kind of keep the rhythm going. The guys who just had a successful play, let's leave them out there and let them do it again. And I think Bo Nix really appreciates that, because it's less mental gymnastics and more like physically, let's just keep kicking their ass. And you could see the offensive line really appreciated that approach too.
Think about how he approached the offense through the opening 7 games, all these personnel packages. That sums up everything that you just said. Finally did it in game 8. And now, potentially, they could start going like this as an offense, and they're still 6-2.
Yeah.
That's what's so unbelievable about this, that all the tinkering, they're still 6-2, and everything is in front of them, including what is going to be an epic showdown, potentially, in about 3 weeks against the Chiefs at home.
Yeah. If I'm Sean Payton, now is the time I do start talking to my team about the first round bye. Okay, we're trying to secure the #1 seed. That's on the table right now. We run the table, we get to sit home. the first week, and then we get home field throughout, and the Super Bowl runs through Denver. That's what the message I'm sending to the guys is now that we can see that in front of us. 6-2, 9 games left. If we win out, we get home field advantage, and the Super Bowl goes through Denver. Pretty cool.
That's going to do it for us. He's Nate. I'm Eric. We will talk to you on Thursday at 11 a.m. Hey!